We are at Ahmedabad Ni Gufa during Wild Stroke group exhibition of paintings. Now we are going to talk to artist Nilanjana Roy, whose paintings are being displayed in this exhibition. So we shall ask her about some interesting turning points, curious turning points in her journey as an artist. So Nilanjana, since when you have been painting?
If I have to define since when I've been painting, I've actually started drawing, sketching, painting from the time that I've probably gained consciousness. From that, that was the beginning for the love that got inculcated. But then, of course, I mean, during school time, I took a few classes, but it did not continue, and it just went on till my school time and probably my college time, and then it got lost in the chaos of life. My job took over, and I think I somehow lost connection with my first love in some way. And it was only after a huge gap of around 10-15 years that something perhaps knocked at my heart, saying that I am losing out on something which is very, very dear to me, and something that always has given me a lot of joy and happiness. So I should do something about it. That was one. And if you say that if when from when I have been seriously painting, so there was this one event which I always quote, which has been a turning point in my life. There was an event that was created by a very dear senior who was a social activist. So he runs a group of social awareness. It is called Swachh Pune, Swachh Bharat. They are very active in Pune. So he had created an event whereby he had called for artists who can come together to create murals on walls, which is in Pune near the airport area, the Vimananagar Airport Road. Initially, my thought was that there would be a professional group doing the murals, and anybody who can perhaps paint a little and has interest can go in and join. So that is with that intention I reached there on the first day, only to understand that it was open for all. Brushes and paints were being provided for by the Rotary Club, and the panels were just there, the bare walls, whitewashed, ready to be painted. And we were given a free hand, saying that just pick up the brush. If you know how to paint, just go ahead and pour your heart out. And as long as it is not religious or anything controversial, we are absolutely welcome what you wanted to paint. So initially, it obviously was a little overwhelming, but I think when I started it, I enjoyed the process so much. This project went on for about 6 months, and every weekend, every morning, a group of us will be there on the Vimananagar Airport Road, sitting on the pavements, painting away to our heart's content, and it just sparked something, I think.
What did you paint exactly in that?
Well, the first thing that I had probably painted was it started as a typical underwater scenery, but it went into a save water kind of a message. So that is one. Then I went on to do a portrait of Dr. Abul Kalam. So that was on his birthday. So that was greatly appreciated. Some of the news dailies picked it up. There was another mural on him actually, and there was one on women empowerment. And when I say women empowerment, it is a simple thing of depicting how the women of today, how they manage everything. I mean, right from the simple household chores to being CEOs of companies and whatnot, and the expectation that builds upon him. So we are typically the Ma Durgas of modern life, typically. So that is so those things came out all. I mean, and since there was nothing really, restricting us from depicting what we wanted, we went ahead and started painting anything. And my last painting on that project was probably the one that I hold dearest to my heart. From that part of my the contribution was a portrait of Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, who is a legend, definitely, who is a legend, a musical legend, who has had his homeland in Pune. and it was his homeland, of course, and he has been a cultural legend, a pioneer. So the message which went out depicting his portrait was Mile Sur Mera Tumhara, which basically was the tune, the hymn that touched so many lives across millions, across years. So that was the last piece, and that was the beautiful one which ended it. But yeah, as a project, that was, I feel, my turning point, and that is when I thought that I have to go back to painting. There's no looking back.
That is the incidence which is the turning point, I understand, as an artist for you. You probably had been painting since your childhood, since when you were very young. So I'd like to know what made you interested to take up painting seriously in your childhood. Some particular incidents or some individual or the culture in your house, or what is it?
Right. So I think you probably hit the bullseye in your question itself. It was the culture at my, right there in my home. I'm a Bengali, very proud Bengali, and in our families, art is considered a way of life. Okay? Whether
Okay.
it is music, dance, painting, recitation, or anything which is associated to expressing yourself in ways other than what we do for a living, and that is extremely important to us, and that value is inculcated in our belief right from our childhood. So even before we really know why we do it, I think we are exposed to that environment in different ways. And in my case, I used to see my cousin brothers who are much elder to me. They used to learn painting from a very revered teacher at that time. His name was Mr. Shailan Mitra. I still consider him my guru. So he used to come to our place, and my brothers used to take up lessons from him when I was very little. So I used to just sit by them, look at them, marvel at the entire creation process, and look at all the instruments and the tools and the colors, the canvas, paper, and whatnot lying around. So it was automatically, any child would probably be drawn to that, and it was a natural process of how I got drawn to it. And Shoilanda, who we dearly called Shoilanda, so he used to just invite me, saying that, come on, take a paper, pick up a pencil or a color, and a color pencil, whatever you want, whatever your you are fond of, and just draw something, whatever you like. So he used to give me a free hand, and he used to push me a little, saying that, okay, you can do this, maybe why don't you try something. So that is when I practically remember, I think I remember this, I have this memory vividly, that while my brothers were sitting on the chairs, having some drawing books on the table. One was on the canvas, the easel, which was always a thing of marvel for me. And I was practically sitting on the table and scribbling away. So that was when it was, where the beginning was. So that's how I started. And then I think it just flowed. I think I just picked it up naturally. And even when my brothers, I mean, we all grew up together, of course, they stepped out, they moved abroad, and they probably moved away from anything to do with fine arts in that perspective. But they were very, very proud and happy that I continued in my own way. Though I couldn't continue lessons for a very long time, but somehow pencil sketching was my first love. It was something which gave me immense happiness, and I used to get engrossed in it. So I would spend hours sitting in my corner and sketching away something or the other, whether it is a fantastic illustration that caught my fancy, or something from my imagination, or a scenery, or anything that would seem very interesting to me. There was drawing books and copy books and hard copies and classroom books and whatnot, which were filled with sketches. Okay, I would even sit in class when there were what we would say off classes because we were not having anything, and start sketching, because I used to be not a very extrovert person at that point in time. So I didn't speak much. I was happy in my own corner, and I think at only one time one of my teachers actually caught me sketching away while she was teaching. So I used to be a very studious student, a very good one, in fact, and a very obedient one. So that is why I did not get a major scolding. And she came over, looked at what I was doing, gave me a mild scolding, not much, and just let it be. So that was the one point that I probably got caught sketching in the classroom when I was probably in class 6 or 7. But yes, I mean, I think everybody in school and college who has grown up with me, they knew that, okay, Nilanjana is the one who paints and sketches, and she's the one with the fine arts. Okay, and that is when that is how I grew up, and hence my inspiration, I would say, is my environment, nothing more.
Okay. Is there no setback or something disappointing during your journey as an artist that you had to overcome? It was a hurdle, it was rather challenging to stay creative in course of your life.
So setback, I would probably say that it is, if I consider it like a major hurdle, that might be yet to come. Okay, but yes, what I really do fear is a mental block, uh, which is very very fatal for anybody who's creative. And as a fine art connoisseur and somebody who likes to put paint to canvas, if I have that mental block at any point in time, and I've had that quite a few times, not once. That gets very easily transferred into not being physically able to come to the drawing board and start something. And I think one of the huge drawbacks is probably psychological, nothing to do with what we do or what we can do, is when we think that each of our creations have to be a masterpiece. Okay, that usually is not the case.
Right.
So I think my first hurdle is the starting point. And when I start,
Yeah.
I think I'm in it. And then, yes, of course, there might be mild, small ups and downs, but that is doable. That we can cross very easily. But that first stroke on the canvas, difficult.
So, one more question. Do you have a fear as an artist? Any kind of fear that haunts you as an artist? As an artist?
Yeah, I think I do. I think I do, because
And what is that?
that would probably be, whether I am able to connect with my audience or not.
Okay.
On the
Okay.
one hand, we say that artists should have, a complete free hand of going ahead and creating whatever is in their soul, is in their heart. Okay, we are putting that out into the canvas. We're expressing ourselves in different ways. The medium and everything is so different for for each and everybody. So we do that, and that is how in one gallery full of 20 artists we see this huge variety. Nobody's work resembles anybody else's work, and that is the beauty of it. However, we cannot predict how a viewer views our work, okay, whether they like us or not. It's not as if we are really struggling to be liked, but at the same time it does give us a little bit of validation at the end of the day that what we are creating, it is appealing to some senses. Okay, so I would say that as an artist, whether one's work gets sold or not is not the most important point, but
Right.
whether the audience
Connects
can
with it.
really connect with us. Even if somebody walks up and has a few words with you, and if not appreciate, probably tries to understand
Yeah,
you, that makes me so happy. I mean, if there is something that I have on the canvas displayed out there, and somebody comes and says, I'm very confused, what have you really tried saying here, that would make me so excited. Okay, whether that work
True.
gets sold at the end of the day or not, I probably don't
That's
care
another
after
thing.
that.
Yeah. Good. So one last question. Today's new AI tools, that is artificial intelligence tools, and chat GPT and so on, do you think there will be some effect in the creation of art? I mean, particularly when in the case of literature, there are advertisements in the social media that write a best-selling book through chat GPT in 2 minutes. So that kind of thing is going to affect the world of art. What do you think?
Yes, that is definitely something different, which is probably out to change the world in many ways. However, I think the answer lies in the question itself. When we call artificial intelligence, one of the keywords that kind of screams out to me is artificial. And what we are creating
Good one.
here is real. Okay, it is the real us who are putting color or pen or whatever we think moves us to paper, to canvas, to any texture, and we are creating art in connecting our souls into the complete world of the canvas is our world. Okay, now whether AI can take over that aspect of it, I don't think so. Of course, it can probably create marvelous art pieces in the coming times, and it already has started doing so, right? However, I feel that it's a very powerful tool, and if we can use it to our benefit, we can definitely move worlds. However, whether it can replace real art or not, um, I think real connoisseurs will always genuinely appreciate real art and not AI created art. It will have its own place in the world, I'm sure, because it will have its own novelty. It is pop art, and it is something new, and it always captures everybody's attention. So even when the mass might move towards AI created art, whether for a short time or a long time, but there will be a portion of the population who will always appreciate genuine, real art, where there is a real artist behind the art and not AI.
Okay. It's wonderful talking to you. So we wish you grand success as an artist, and you keep creating more and more radically interesting art pieces in the coming years. Thanks.